This video is in association with Edufirst, an organisation that aims to increase the education effort worldwide. Their current project is improving the education quality in Somalia. More information can be found on their website, where you can also donate. The link is in the description. Living in a patriarchal society, women in education have had a complicated relationship which varies around the world. Throughout the last 2 millennia, and much longer than that, women have had a restricted accessibility to education, not just because of gender inequality, but economic inequality as well. Efforts from the feminist movement has helped to improve female education, particularly in predominantly white Western countries. For example, between 2005 and 2006, American women earned 62% of associate degrees, and Italian woman Giussi Spagnolo became the first woman with Down syndrome to graduate university in Europe. Improved education for women have significant impacts on their health and economic future. The infant mortality rate of babies whose mothers have received a primary education is half that of children whose mothers are illiterate. Research has shown that for every extra year of school that a girl attends, her lifetime income increases by 15%. In Africa, there are some countries where girls are unlikely to attend school due to reasons such as the lack of private toiletry facilities for girls, such as Burkina Faso. In pre-colonial West Africa, women were most notably getting education in preparatory schools called bush schools, which had near 100% graduation rates and completed courses. Organised by women for women, lessons included cooking, fishing, spinning wool, weaving and basket making. They were also given considerably progressive reproduction education on birth control and child rearing. These were centres of female power despite the colonial idea that women should just be educated in maternal roles. Naturally, whilst colonised, African women's education started to be influenced by traditional European ideals of a woman's role. They soon halted educating women in how they can help the economy, introducing the ideal that men are the breadwinners. The ideal is still prominent in contemporary Africa, as 6% of men complete secondary education, while only 3.3% of women do so. In Western society, women start to play a more prominent role in education in the 19th century, becoming teachers inside and outside educational centres. The first women's college in the UK were at Oxford and Cambridge, each founded in the 1860s and 70s. Beforehand, church leaders were against women obtaining higher education, as it was supposedly against the Bible's teachings. Higher class women were educated in domestic duties such as sewing in order to become decent mothers and housewives, taught by poorly educated governesses. Lessons included Greek, Latin, music and classes in etiquette. Those of the lower orders would have had to start work on farms or in factories to support their families, but may have also had basic reading, writing and arithmetic lessons. They would usually be taught in Sunday schools run by charities or the church. Some headmistresses at school for girls would start focusing more on academic excellence rather than domestic duties. In pre-20th century China, a woman's virtue lay with her lack of knowledge, therefore they didn't really receive any education. This changed when Christian missionaries arrived in the late 19th century. Chinese women refused to be seen by Western male doctors due to a custom that men and women shouldn't be near each other. This led to the first medical college for women in China, called the Hackett Medical College for Women in Guangzhou, in 1902. By 1915, the school had over 60 students. Between 1931 and 1945, the amount of uneducated women was at 90%. When the People's Republic of China was established the next decade, a civilization project enabled women to learn basic writing and calculation. In the 1980s, it was made obligated that all people have to have 9 years of education. By 2005, the amount of women who received primary education had risen to 98.2% compared to the 20% before 1960. In present day, There are more people going into university education. Women have the same rights of general education as men, but are forced to do better in college entrances exams than men do. This is so that they can get into the same university. In the Vedic period of India, the late Bronze Early Iron Ages, women were allowed to pursue an education. In 1821, during British India, the first boarding school for girls was established, and by 1840 there had been 6 schools built with an enrolment of 200 Hindu girls. Whilst there was a slow progress in female education, it was focused on primary and only related to the rich. In 1848, a school for girls was started by Jyotiba and Savaritabai Phule, a pioneering couple in female education. The University of Calcutta became one of the first universities to admit female students. During the 1883 Ilbert Bill controversy, English women argued that Bengali women were too ignorant to be able to judge cases that involved English women. This was countered by Bengali women arguing that they were actually more educated than the English, as more Indian women had degrees. After gaining independence in 1947, there was a suggestion to improve the quality of education, but not for women. In the modern day, there have been a number of programs established to help improve education overall, not just for women. These include the Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya scheme and the National Programme for the Education of Girls at Elementary Level. Iran has been under Islamic rule since the 1979 revolution, which has affected female education. They can't attend the same school as male students and have to learn from different versions of textbooks. Unmarried women cannot obtain financial aid if they try to study abroad. However, 42% of Iranian women choose to stay to the 4th year of high school, and they have a higher probability of passing college entrance exams. In pre-revolution Iran, the gender gap in students taking a master's was only 20%. However, the female percent of doing a master's in 2007 rose to 43%. There are also non-formal education tuitions for women to attend. In rural areas, the Literary Movement Organization created adult literacy programs, vocational schools, and religious institutions. In the 1990s, 66% of those enrolled in a literacy program were women. Overall, women's education still needs to be improved in many countries. Whilst there is a slow progress, this needs to be picked up to help not only the economy, but the mental being of women too. This is why you should support Edufirst, so that not only female education can be improved, but education for all around the world.